Hello, everybody. This is Apple Treats podcast, second episode of the second season. It was actually planned to... Yes, it should happen a lot earlier, but yeah. And before we begin, we have to say something here, and I'll probably say it myself. I think podcast team shares this as well. So we as a team are really shocked and devastated with the Russian invasion to the Ukraine. We have friends, families, relatives there, and we even have a team member from Ukraine. You might not know that, but it's true. This act of aggression could never be justified, and it should be stopped immediately. And then all the war crimes should be investigated, and all responsible should be brought to fair justice. Хай живе вільна Україна. With that, I think we can actually talk about the topic we planned for this particular episode. So it is WWDC22, and yes, it happened more than a month ago. And probably everybody of you who are watching us, listening, already know all the news, all the updates, all the everything what's happened. But I think it's still fair to share our own favorites from the episode. But even before that, let's introduce ourselves. So I have slight adjustments to our podcast team. We have Sveta, who has joined us as a co-host, and welcome, Sveta. Some of our listeners already know her from one of our previous episodes, right?
Yeah.
From episode number 1 of this season.
I've already participated, but okay, let's introduce.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start. Who want to share their experience first? By the way, this year WWDC was not just the online as two previous years, but it also had one in-person event. Not the full WWDC, like full 5 weeks of sessions and music bash and everything else. But
stop! What 5 weeks? No.
5 yeah.
days.
It was 5. Yeah. So WWDC was like full 5 days of in-person presence in some venue in San Francisco or San Jose. And this year it was a little bit different. It was just 1 day, and it wasn't in the venue, like in third-party venue. It was actually in Apple Park. And something about 1,000 lucky developers were invited to join this event. And I was one of the lucky developers who were able to participate there. So I've visited Apple Park, and I've seen this event, how it was in-person event.
There.
And by the way, this year it was kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't have to fly for a day to attend WWDC, but rather drive something about an hour to get there. So I recently moved to California, and therefore it was a little bit easy to get to the event. Let's start with a couple of updates which was there, not just the announcements for the which were held on the keynote and State of the Union, but on the day before. Apple actually showed one of their new facilities, which is called Apple Developer Center, which is a place where they will invite developers to have tech talks, communications with Apple teams. So, for example, if your team develops something great and you need Apple to review your work and give your advice, they can invite you to this Apple Development Center, Developer Center. You will be sitting in one of the rooms and discussing something with the developers from Apple and making your game or app or whatever, or even accessory better. And Apple said that we need to keep an eye on Apple Developer App in order to see when they will be inviting developers to new events there. So we'll see. I mean, how often and how will it be easier to get to the events there or not? Let's see. I mean, Apple is changing in terms of how they deal with the developers recently. It might be more events, not just WWDC once a year.
Pretty cool. So we know that pandemic is something like it's over, but not really. And now we have offline conferences, and I hope that Apple will proceed with that approach.
Can we build at least one in Europe? There are a lot of developers here. Please.
I hope so. I mean, it seems that Apple might. I mean, they have presence in England. They have presence in Germany.
No. England is not Europe.
Yes. Well, it's close enough. But they have presence in Germany as well. And couple of years ago, they had the Tech Talks hosted in London and in, as far as I remember, Berlin. So they might have something similar happening there. Not sure yet. So no big announcements on this. But let's now actually talk about how the WWDC was there. So it was online and in person. In person was mostly the same as online, actually. Like we were sitting on the porch there, and on the yard near the Ring building, and we were watching big screen, like the same keynote. The only thing which was different, like before the keynote, Tim Cook entered the stage, said a couple of warm words to the developers, and then the keynote started.
Sorry, incredible.
Yes, surely. And the State of the Union also was preceded by several key people in Apple saying some new kind words to the developers. But apart from that, it was the same stream which was shown to the online viewers. Maybe the Apple Design Awards were a little bit more interesting to see because it was also streamed, but we were sitting there and watching the actual teams entering the stage to get their awards. But apart from that, there was a couple of sessions, not the sessions when they discussed something, but rather activities hosted there. So there were a couple of tours around the Apple Park. So they basically showed how great they are in engineering of the buildings, how they modified landscape, and how they grow fruits and berries there, and how they even donate excesses of these berries to the city. So basically, yes, Apple not just building hardware, but also growing apples, plums, and everything else. Yeah, they are probably good at that. And by the way, I actually had cherries grown at Apple Park. They were giving those at lunchtime. So yeah. Not much different from other cherries, yes.
So you're full of Apple right now.
Yeah. At least I was at that moment. So yeah, I mean, and there was a Meet the Teams event when you were able to get together with the teams who are working at Apple on different platforms. So it's a typical WWDC, but it was only one day, and it was a little bit clunky in terms of how it was organized. I think Apple still not yet ready to host really big event at Apple Park. They were relying on the facilities, external facilities. It was much more organized in pre-COVID years. But we'll see. I mean, I actually think that the next WWDCs might be hosted at Apple Park. I mean, they're probably preparing that, and they could be ready for that, I think. I mean, I'm not sure, but it looks like. Okay, I think that's it with this non-technical stuff. And again, if you're watching us live, use comments in YouTube to share your favorite announcements from WWDC, and we might discuss them and compare what did we like and what did you like there. So who wanna start?
Sessions have you watched?
I watched all the sessions I marked as favorite. I finished watching them like
3?
No, a little bit more, but I will rewatch some of them again. I mean, a couple of them are really interesting, and I will like pause and will not say which exactly, because I before airing this episode, we all agreed that we will pick one favorite announcement from the WWDC, and we'll discuss that. And I failed this particular task. I honestly cannot choose one. For me, it was the event when they had a lot of updates to many things, and these updates were incredible, really incredible in many ways. So it's a really great WWDC for the developers for many reasons, and I will try to explain that a little bit later. But let's start with you guys. You actually were able to pick something and discuss. And who want to start?
Sveta, you haven't answered on the question. How many sessions have you watched?
Okay. So as for me, my favorite new feature is a possibility to use a new API to present bottom sheets. So it's super easy to create bottom sheets right now. You just in SwiftUI, you just need to use modifier sheet and add present datums like medium or large. These two are Apple preset, and also you could use fractional values to define height of bottom sheet, and that's pretty cool, especially for me. So on my last SwiftUI project, we were needed to implement bottom sheet, and it was really time consuming. We needed to put all custom animations and states and so on and so forth. And right now it's cool that we could use it, Apple API. We don't need to use third-party libraries now and don't need to create our personal components. Yeah.
But what about UIKit? Why only SwiftUI?
No, it's actually available in UIKit as well, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to do my future projects in SwiftUI, so I'm really interested in this feature in SwiftUI. Sorry.
Let's take a step back. So you mean in my last SwiftUI project, so you had some SwiftUI projects?
I was last SwiftUI project, and right now I'm doing my pet project with SwiftUI. And maybe 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about how to, not 2 weeks, 2 months ago, I was thinking about how to implement bottom sheet, and there were two ways: use third-party library and create my custom bottom sheet. So right now I need to choose between them. I just can use Apple API. So
the only downside. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, I just suffer from Apple not wanting to backport these new features into previous OSs. How one another mobile operating system do, because really it's bad. I want to use these bottom sheets in my app, but I cannot because we have to support at least iOS 13 now, and in 2 years maybe we will get there. But we'll have awesome polished our custom solution. It will work everywhere.
Okay.
True. I would say it's not only just for these UI features, but for all other features as well. But that happens for many years, and I do remember the times when they were able to backport some small things to previous releases, and the whole audience was just basically started uploading for these small things which were actually available in the previous releases. It's sad that we cannot have everything there. By the way, did any of you actually start trying Xcode Server, which is now like available and even for free for small like workloads? Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, me too. not yet. We still in the plans to try that out, but as of now we like did not go there, and we actually even have some Apple only projects where we do not care about any other platforms, and even there we do not use it yet. So we by the way, we potentially might need to give it a try. It might be good thing to try now.
With iOS with Xcode 14.
I think you can use it with the 13, but it might be not that tightly integrated, and there might be some issues like in properly setting this thing up. That's again, it needs more investigations in terms of like how good it works, and it's.
So you have 2 weeks till the next episode.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. We'll need to see. Yeah. And by the way, yeah, 2 weeks. That's. We will try. That's something we have to do. Okay, Sveta, that's actually an interesting thing. I mean, SwiftUI has a lot of updates this year, and one of my picks, like one of those, and it was also a small one, but it's a new navigation API in Swift.
Yeah.
And like it's just a couple of years when SwiftUI was announced, and we have deprecated navigation view, like which is like quite quick for the deprecation
without backporting new solution to previous versions.
Yes, true. And the new solution is actually kind of interesting. I'm not sure it really fits everything, but you basically need to define targets for. So you basically need to define the model which will trigger navigation. So it's like just an I don't know. They could be of any type basically, and you will need to define a method which will like based on this model define the view which needs to be put into navigation stack. So it's like interesting API, let's put it that way. But the more important thing that you can use codables, and you can use state restoration, and you can use deep linking with that. So you basically construct navigation stack, and it will like basically apply to the view, and that will happen pretty easy. And you have better understanding of how the navigation will be working there. So it's not like one view need to trigger navigation to the next one need to think about that and trigger navigation. And by the way, you cannot basically do multiple navigations at the same time, because there are animations applied to that and many more other things. So the new navigation is something which should have been there from the start. And again, having this only on the iOS 16 and like current releases of other platforms, this is really, really terrible. I mean, this is something which on the like huge commercial projects, you cannot justify just supporting only iOS 16. But
we can,
for the
users still kill us.
Yeah. And you cannot like basically explain.
Yes, Apple dropped support of some of devices.
iPhone is
iOS 14. So I believe the greatest version of iPhone that supports iOS 16 is the oldest is iPhone 8, I believe.
Yeah, I think 7 is also dropped. I'm not exactly sure, but it's now iPhone 8 as a minimum. And they actually dropped support for the original SE, which is like weird. The SE was like, I actually was really impressed that it was still supported by this time, but yeah. And even with that, so Apple did receive some hate from people like saying, why are you stopping supporting these particular devices? Like, really? I mean, iPhone 8 was released. Yes, it's really powerful device, and even like iPhone SE original SE is also powerful. But like, I think it's time to go.
They have to say thank you to Apple that they still support MacBooks with Intel. So.
Oh yeah, that would be a good joke now. Yeah, it's and speaking of the MacBooks, I migrated to the M1 MacBook Pro, and yes, it's that amazing. It's powerful. It works. Yeah, so. Like this is something definitely worth looking into if you're still like in doubt. Like you can use MacBook and it will be like barely warm rather than being like making burns on your laps.
Yeah, so it's streaming right now and it's only 53 degrees on my
Exactly,
side.
and it's quiet. I mean, like for people might not know, but I had to put my Intel book quite away from the microphone because it was like spinning all the coolers just because we're streaming something. I mean,
so it's
who
finally
knew?
Pro.
Yeah, yes, and now it's like it's standing right here, and it's quite enough. Okay, Vladimir, let's talk to you. What is your favorite announcement of WWDC?
No, I don't like WWDC, but I just the last week I bought Apple TV 4K with a new remote, and it's wonderful. Okay, going back to topic. So my favorite one. So I was impressed by this from State of the Union, and then I dig deeper into these, looking by session, listening to different podcasts, reading articles, and this is our future without passwords, and this is wonderful. So we are talking about passkeys. It was very fun that in the beginning, not in the beginning, but somewhere at the beginning of the session about passkeys, they described how to use word passkey. So it's a one word.
Yeah.
So it has plural form similar to password. So passkeys, passwords, so on. Yeah. Thanks because it's similar to how to use Xcode and how to properly spell it and how to properly write it. So yeah, thanks Apple. But before going to passkeys, let's discuss like today is a little bit of educational podcast. So let's talk about different things about authorization, authentication, and other stuff. So let's start from this question first. So uh, who knows what the difference between authorization and authentication?
You're asking us or the audience? I mean.
Your audience
Okay,
is not very
Sveta.
active today.
No.
Yeah.
Please, Volodya, proceed. You're the
Yeah,
teacher.
stage is yours. Yes.
Okay. So authorization is like something when we allow someone to access something. So and this is like when we know who this person is, or we don't know, still we can forbid them from access to some resource or not. This is authorization, like access authorized. Uh, and authentication is another thing. So it's about authenticity. So it's like when you prove that you are this person or this user or whatever. And today we're going to talk about authentication rather than authorization. So previously, we like in books they write this like authentication. You can do this with something that you know, and a good example is password, and something what you have. Either it's some hardware device or your like a biometry or whatever else, and different variations of these two ways. So everyone knows how to use like username, password, and that's it. So you're authorized, you're authenticated. Failed. What Apple offers now, instead of using passwords, let's use passkeys. What this means. So how this worked before. On device, when you're trying to authorize somewhere, you have to either not create salt, but just you send your password through SSL, everything works fine. Server don't want to store this information. They create separate salt, and they create a hash of this, your password plus salt, some other stuff, and they hash this and store this hash. And later, when you want to authenticate, they just need to compare this hashed version with what they store. Perfect. Sounds good. What they offer now, instead of using some string, which can be short, can be long, but still you need to know it, instead of this, let's use something that people used for not forever, but for a very long time. So cryptography. We have public key. We have private key. So what they offer us to let's send this public key to the server, and they will have it. Similar to what you do usually when you authenticate into some SSH server. So to make it work, you just need to save your public key into .ssh like authorized hosts, something like this, and then you can use your private key to authenticate into this server through SSH. Similar here, they don't need to know your private key; they just need to know public key, and it's public, so everyone can know it, and everything is done from this. But what they so actually they used some parts of this thing previously. I believe some parts of this solution is behind signing with Apple, and also to communicate. So, and everything sounds good before you go away from Apple ecosystem. And I believe mostly no one uses Apple hardware to drive their server. So you cannot use APIs from Apple. How to deal with this? And since I believe iOS 14, they embedded support of open standard called WebAuthn, and used it mostly for multi-factor authentication. So since iOS 15, you can use as a second factor either Face ID, Touch ID on your MacBook. And finally, let's eliminate one more step from this process. You can use WebAuthn for your primary factor. And as they told in the session, you don't need anything else. You don't need MFA for this. So it's proven system that allows to identify you, authenticate you, and everything's fine. It works. And how it works, it just works similar to how you communicate with servers through SSL. So server sends you some request based on your public key. You have to encode this request with your private key, send it back, and then it say, okay, fine, it's here. Let's go. And from code side, it works mostly the same, but with of course with high-level API. They have a separate framework, authentication services. You have to create some requests with different options, and from request. For some reason, I haven't checked these thoroughly, but for some reason it uses plain old like a delegate for communicating back your result. Why not async await? I don't know. I will check this later.
Different teams, yes.
Yeah. Probably with to make it work with
Older code,
Objective-C, but it works fine. For example, from CloudKit, as we talked previously or before, I don't remember. They have like in compiler compatibility with Objective-C code that ends with some completion closure. So why not to do something like this instead of delegate? I don't know. Probably more items to cover. I don't know. I will check. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask, did you also check the private access tokens as the... So it's not the same thing as the passkey, but it's also like another thing which will help to eliminate the second factor authentication. I mean, like not the second factor, but rather the like are you robot check from the login process.
Nope. I just saw this on s02e, but haven't checked this session about this in detail. But we'll do this.
Yeah, but I would like to mention that passkeys is not like Apple standard. It's not the like you are not locked into Apple ecosystem in terms of using passkeys as a standard. Yes, you will. The private key will be stored in the keychain, and it will be like used synced with the iCloud account through your devices, like being encrypted end to end. But first of all, you can log in to the external devices using the QR code presented on the screen. And the second thing, the standard itself probably will be soon supported by other vendors as well. So the idea of not having passwords is here, and I hope others will join with that, and they will be providing this support for the passkeys on other platforms, and you will be simply like, yes, I'm just don't want to have any passwords at all. Thank you.
I believe in their not demo but just slides, they show that some version of Chrome already supports this. I don't know how, but somehow. And what is most interesting part is they showed how to integrate passkeys into the app. Also, one of option that if you don't have a passkey in your keychain, you can show this QR code. But what to do if your passkey on some PC? How to show this QR code to this PC?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I think it will still start from the Mac, and then it will transition to the PC. And by that time, we will have some ways of like exporting and passing them around in the more or less safe way. I think like some... I didn't check, by the way, but I think you will be able to export your private key from the keychain on the Mac, like basically in the P8 or P12 format, like something which is like industry standard there. But again, honestly, also I didn't check that if it already works, but I can't expect this to happen. I mean,
do you have macOS Ventura installed somewhere?
No.
So
this is why I'm not.
Yeah,
this is why I'm not actually checking this yet. But I have I do not have spare device which I can easily reset and work around again. So
I don't remember this. Do they still support old MacBooks before Butterfly period?
They dropped support for some of them, but I'm not sure again which one. So they were some of them are no longer supported, but
maybe I have a spare device for my tests.
Okay, so this is what we will be discussing in 2 weeks, probably.
And the last thing about passkeys. So you mentioned that you can show this QR code to your iPhone from a computer, and it will work. But there are a lot of things beneath this. So I thought that first I thought you show QR code, it leads to some website or to some service, and it works. No, it's much more complicated. So they share some like hash and some relay proxy website where these like computer and phone should communicate through. Also, they create Bluetooth connection between these two devices. So it is not possible just to share this QR code to someone, authenticate, and get back. No, they should be in the same room, so Bluetooth should work. And this sounds amazing. So they really thought how to deal with this properly without sharing. And so they use this relay. They create end-to-end encryption connection between phone and device. So they use Bluetooth to exchange keys. Then they communicate through this relay with end-to-end encryption.
Yeah.
And then they as they promised, I believe it works. So server, where you try to authenticate, it doesn't know anything about how these stuff happens. They just get this request with through WebAuthn, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually good that they are not just thinking about like, let's show the QR code and the site, you will open that QR code from the phone, link to some site, and everything's there. So again, the main problem with all the authentication schemes which we have is that they might be target for the phishing. So you might like be presented with the code. This code might go somewhere, so you might be asked to send, like, take a photo of the code, send it to somebody, and like a lot of things could happen. And if you limit the amount of options where you can like share your authentication process to somebody, it's better. So it's really step in the proper direction. Some would say that Apple will be locking users to their iCloud, mostly because your private key is stored in your iCloud account. Mostly, well, it's stored in the keychain, but the keychain is shared through across devices using like iCloud counterpart of the keychain, and so on. So it's like you're basically really tight, and it might be possible, but it's not really easy to extract your private key and migrate to different ecosystem. So this is actually true. It's not easy. There is no like simple step to perform in order to migrate. But I don't think that will be the only reason why are you staying on a particular platform. So if that would be the reason why you are not migrating to something, well, that's weird. I mean, you will find a way if that's just the only thing which is stopping you. Like you definitely will be able to, like, at least you can basically go to the website, change your authentication scheme, and just like forget about Apple for some time. Like that
and use passwords as
yes,
as our grandfathers.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So that's actually a really big announcement. It was like it wasn't highlighted as something really big there, and mostly because probably Apple wants this to gradually take over. It's not something like now your applications need to stop using all the passwords and just use passkeys. But they are like showing like, yes, guys, this is the great thing to do. It's open standard. We are not just inventing something. We are doing this together with other vendors and so on. So it's something which you might use later on.
And this is the second time when Apple cooperated with Google to make something, to make our life better. First was this exposure API.
I would actually want to talk about Exposure API here. It's not the part of the WWDC. It's kind of quiet on this. And by the way, being in California, we do not have a separate app for the exposure notification for the iPhone. We are using the part of the settings app. And I recently looked into that, and I see that the phone is actually gathering the keys and communicating. So I didn't receive any request to get tested, but it seems that it gets the keys from other devices. My concern here, is it a still failed attempt? I mean, we still see a lot of rising cases in many countries. Like, does it actually help? So the technology works. It seems it works, and some people even use it. I mean, I cannot honestly cannot say how many people actually opt in to use the technology, and how many people actually sharing their positive diagnosis to basically to be spread across the devices. But is it actually like something which changed in the world? There was some news like it helped, but I honestly don't know. So the technology is there. It's even like probably doing something, but we're still in the same like world when like lockdowns in some countries and rising cases in other countries and so on. So it's I don't know.
I believe a year ago I didn't get any notifications that I had a like high risk contact. But when I checked the app, I saw that I had some very short contacts with people with COVID. So yeah, at least a year ago, someone used it. Maybe now not everyone, but yeah.
And for the iPhone, I mean, for the standard iPhone, it's actually quite easy. You just, if your region supports that, like again, it depends. Some regions have an apps, some regions have like native integration with the operating system itself. So for the region I'm now in, you just need to say like, yeah, I'm fine, let's do it, and that's it. So it's basically stays in the settings, and you can get there and see like how many keys it saw like during this day or the previous days, and like did it get any notifications and so on. But lack of news makes me feel that maybe this is still a failed attempt. I mean, that it doesn't help actually to reduce the case. It might help to limit the spread, but I'm not sure it's really efficient. But again, I'm not an expert here. I'm just trying to think about how the technology actually changes something drastically or not.
It's not about how technology changes something. It's about Apple and Google work together on something.
That's totally something we might not expect. But
and now we're waiting for cooperation with Microsoft and embedding passkeys into Windows, and that would be so wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, the passkeys. I hope that, and we still will have passwords, but I mean, less passwords is good. and less.
I will cancel my subscription to 1Password. It's still $60 per year. It's too much for my family.
yeah. I'm using the iCloud keychain. It works, and by the way, it currently supports some of the two-factor authentication codes. So it's also like really nice touch when you basically like it inserts your like second factor code automatically. That's. By the way, but
Apple to buy 1Password and everything will become really great.
or at least like license the sharing passwords between the teams and other parts, other similar things. Yeah, true. I think that would be it for us for this episode to have. I mean, it was kind of clunky, kind of. We lost a bit of our like daily drive every 2 weeks doing the episodes, but let's get back to work and make these episodes a little bit better from time to time. And for that to happen, we would really want to hear the feedback from you listeners or viewers, or
and your questions in advance.
Yeah, so everything you want to know, everything you want to discuss, everything you consider interesting to talk about, like just use any means possible, comments in YouTube or reviews in the Apple podcasts, or just plain use our Twitter handles. They are mentioned there. Just like write us something. We will be we would be really glad to hear that. For sure.
We also want to try writing code online, so please send us your ideas.
Yeah, that was really like probably nobody did hear that. Yeah, but yeah, that we have a couple of ideas of how to change the visual part of the podcast. I'm not yet sure how it will work for the audio, but we will see how can we make the good use of both worlds. Okay.
Main.
Yeah.
And so much things that we could discuss about WWDC, but
yeah, I mean, this was something from the process, and yeah, we there is a whole list of things happened there. That's why I was impressed with this particular WWDC, and this list is actually quite big, and from like some user-facing things to like internal things like distributed actors actually being mentioned as the part of the WWDC sessions, and even I believe State of the Union. So it's like some like distributed computing on Swift, and Swift being full stack language. So like this might be a topic for our next episodes. Thank you very much. That was the second episode of the second season of Apple Treats. We hope to see you probably in 2 weeks. We're still working on the schedule, but we will try to get back to our regular programming in being like a bi-weekly podcast. Thank you, and
see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.